Hey, everybody. I'm Dr. Daniel Kelvin Bullock, and I am the truth teller here at We Are. We Are stands for Working to Extend Anti Racist Education. And today I'm joined by my co host.
Hey y'all, it's Dr. Rhonda Taylor Bullock here at We Are, the lead curator.
And we're here today for our first installment of Curated Conversations.
Installment feels like a strong word, but hopefully there will be additional episodes. We're just starting out, so we'll see how this goes.
We're going to say installment, and we hope it'll be a series that we're able to bring to y'all. But we wanted to have this conversation because data is starting to come in regarding the racial demographics at universities across the nation. And this is following the Supreme Court's decision last year about affirmative action and how universities can no longer take race into considerations during their admissions process. So the preliminary data is showing a decline in the number and percentage of first year Black students at universities like MIT, Harvard, UNC Chapel Hill, and many others. And so, Dr. Rhonda Taylor Bullock, you are a triple graduate of UNC Chapel Hill. I just wanted to ask you, how does this information sit with you?
First, Dr. Kelvin, it's okay to call me Rhonda.
Okay.
um, and this is not, I'm being silly, but it's not this isn't a joke, right? It is alarming and sad that the affirmative action case was brought back up to challenge in the first place, right? And now with just one class of incoming graduates at the different colleges in our country and in our state and in our alma mater, we see that the number of Black people who are admitted has gone down by like 3%. And I mean, I think for me, it's a duh moment. Of course, that would happen if you remove the protection, if you remove the policy that tried to make admissions offices behave and treat Black people with the dignity and humanity we deserved and that honored our intellect. Of course, so it's no surprise to me. But now we just have the evidence to show that, unfortunately, UNC still isn't, the university we would want it to be as it relates to taking in like the historical past of injustices against Black people, Black bodies, and recognizing that, we deserve to be on the campus and in the community as well.
I'm also wondering, Rhonda, like, how does this connect to your work as an anti-racist educator?
Yeah, well, I mean, it just connects to the work that, both of us have been doing as we think about, like, as we move away from, individual meanness and bigotry and bias to zooming out and looking at systems, right? And so when the Supreme Court strikes down the affirmative action policy, like now this is a systemic decision, and so it's going to impact the whole university system in our country, not just one or two people or the 5 to 10 people who brought up the complaint, right? As it relates to admissions. And so that's part of the work that we do. We want to help people understand that racism is systemic. Removing the affirmative action policy, speaking of which, the number one beneficiary of affirmative action policies is white women. That's not my opinion. You can fact check that. The numbers don't lie, right? I digress. But part of our work is to help people to bring that critical race theory lens, that analysis of law and policy, to see how the legislature has put rules and laws in place that have a disproportionate impact along racial lines, race and gender, right? Race, gender, and class.
Yeah. So, with that in mind, what might people do? What are some ways they can support anti-racist work, or what are some ways they can push back against these specific situations that are happening?
For one, just staying educated about what's happening, and knowing that it's not going to get, the numbers aren't going to get better for Black people, I should say. They're not going to get better if there isn't some other policy intervention. And so I think one, staying educated, connecting with other people whose values align with yours as it relates to providing equitable access to higher learning. And I think connecting with student bodies, because I imagine that a lot of student bodies will be speaking up and organizing and bringing light to these numbers, because now that the new school year has started, the numbers are out, and a lot of people are gathering the data to see this first initial impact of removing the affirmative action policy. And I'll also say that supporting local organizations like ours who are trying to do this. We're not trying, but we're doing the work. And I think it is important to find those local grassroots nonprofit organizations who are bringing light to different issues of inequity, different issues of systemic inequity in education, in healthcare, in housing, in access to livable wages. And so I think all of that is very much interconnected, and it's not isolated from the decision of removing those affirmative action policies.
Yeah, and I would definitely, I mean, I echo all that you've shared, Rhonda, and I also wanted to specifically echo the way you named lifting up and listening to student voices. Let us listen to the voices of our young people, and we want to encourage our young people to raise their voices. I'm certain that they have, and I've already seen like some interviews on UNC's campus where students are raising their concerns around the impact of these policies, the impact of these decisions. And if we're not listening to the young people, particularly those from historically marginalized communities that policies like affirmative action was designed to benefit, if we're not listening to those voices, then what are we really doing here? Like, we're supposed to be here to serve the voices of the young people who are there to get their education. And so we really need to center, lift up, empower, and listen to those voices. Rhonda, I want to thank you for this first conversation, this first curated conversation, and I look forward to reconnecting with you soon.
Yeah, sounds good.